All right, back for another beer review, and today I'm going to be reviewing a beer from the Stone Brewing Company, and they're out of both Escondido, California, and Richmond, Virginia, and this is their Grapefruit Slam IPA. So they are calling this a zesty double IPA that is brewed with grapefruit peel, comes in at 8% alcohol by volume, no IBUs listed in the time of review. This can is just under 1 month old. So on the back here, they have a big spiel about this beer, and they do mention that in the fall of 2014 we created a draft-only version of this delicious double India Pale Ale, and they talk about that they had bitter, zesty grapefruit peel infused into it, blah blah blah. Now I remember they released a beer under their stochasticity project called Grapefruit Slam IPA. I'd imagine that's very similar, if not the exact same beer to this. But yeah, I never picked that one up because I don't know. Grapefruit beers for me, or grapefruit IPA specifically, they can be hit or miss for me. I highly enjoyed Grapefruit Sculpin from Ballast Point, quite a bit actually. So I'm hoping this is kind of similar to that one. I don't know, I guess we'll see. I haven't reviewed a Stone beer since their Woot Stout, maybe, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 months ago. So yeah, I'm gonna get into another Stone beer. Like I mentioned before, I'm gonna try to review some beers from bigger craft breweries, national and regional ones. So a lot of you out there can either get them or already had them. We can talk about them and whatnot. So anyway, let's give this a pour into the Firestone Walker glass. Not hashtag proper glassware. What are you going to do? It happens. The price point, I think, has played a big role when I originally didn't pick up the Stochasticity Project Grapefruit Slam IPA, because they were in bombers. They were always $8 to $10. I was like, I'm not going to buy this. $2.50 for this can, which when you look at it in a 6-pack, you're probably talking $13, $14, which is expensive for a regional or national craft brewery. They're a national craft brewery. But I'm the same guy who, doesn't blink an eye when I see a 4-pack of Tall Boys for, the same price of a New England style IPA. So I don't know, am I a hypocrite? I guess a little bit. It is a bit pricey though, but at the same time, it's an 8% double IPA brewed with grapefruit peel. So I don't know. Is there value there? Probably. Anyway, pours out this really nice, deep orange color, fine sediment in there, hop particulates, I'd imagine about 1.5 fingers of a very, man, that's like an eggshell white, almost light tan head, definitely off-white head for sure. Looks kind of soapy, but yeah, plays the role of like an old school West Coast style IPA. Let's get a nose. Yeah. Now I'm not getting a ton of grapefruit, honestly. Man, maybe a little bit of grapefruit zest, grapefruit peel there. Definitely has big orange characteristics to this one. I think they said, are they using, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, if I remember what hops it said on the website. Chinook, Centennial, Magnum, I believe, are in here. So definitely older hops. I'm getting, yeah, like a nice orange zest, almost like sweeter orange character to it. Definitely a little bit of that rindy, zesty grapefruit they're talking about. A decent malt backbone to this one, more of like a caramel malt as well. Definitely has a bittering note on the nose. Like this is going to have your typical like Stone bitterness to it, or typical West Coast IPA bitterness to it, which is fine with me because I've mentioned this so many times over about the past 6 months, but I'm really enjoying balanced beers when we're talking, the sweeter malt characteristics to the bitter and hop components, where so many New England style IPAs, they lean sweeter nowadays, and I want some of that bitterness, and this seems like it's going to bring it to the table. Yeah, it doesn't smell amazing or anything, but it doesn't smell all that bad. It smells like it's going to be a typical West Coast style IPA with maybe a little bit more of a punch of grapefruit. Anyway, let's get into it, everyone. Cheers. Grapefruit is way more prominent in the taste. Wow. First off, this is actually a little bit more softer and smoother than anticipated. I thought it'd have a decent amount of carbonation. It's like straight moderate carbonation. It's not really effervescent or like spritzy on the tongue. It's a little bit smoother and soft. I mean, there's carbonation there. You can know it's a beer. You know it's carbonated, but it's softer than I would anticipate from the style. The body on this one is actually like straight up medium, higher side of medium, has a little bit of heft behind it. Right up front though, I'm getting like sweeter grapefruit and sweeter oranges, like ruby red grapefruit with a little bit of sugar on it. Definitely sweeter, juicier oranges. As it carries through the palate, more of the zesty grapefruit pops out, and more of the typical, as a lot of people like to refer to as the Stone bitterness, hits right mid palate. It finishes relatively dry with a decent bitterness. It's not overly bitter. I thought this would have more of a bitter punch to it, but it really doesn't. It's nice. It's moderate, and it kind of balances out all that sweetness right at the back of the palate. Definitely an omnipresent underlying caramel malt character there. Definitely you can pick up on it. With West Coast style IPAs, so many times I always get that caramel malt or a decent malt character that's always underneath it. It usually, unless it's aged, is never the predominant note, but it's always there. Yeah, this is solid. This is really drinkable considering it's 8% and it has the zesty grapefruit. That is not too prominent in the taste. It's not too overwhelming. It's there. It accentuates the rest of the base West Coast style IPA. And yeah, it's pretty tasty. Nothing mind-blowing here. Nothing that I think any of you are going to pick this up if you've never had it before and be blown away by it. Maybe you will, but I highly doubt it. I will say, haven't had grapefruit sculpin in many years, but I much prefer that one. That one almost had like a grapefruit juice in addition to the IPA, where this is more of like the zest and the rind like they talk about. It's well made. It's a good beer, and I'm enjoying it. So rating on the Grapefruit Slam IPA from Stone, I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. If you see this in a mix of 6 or as an individual can, give it a go. I think, like I said, I paid $2.50 for the can. If you see it for $2.50 or less, definitely grab it and give it a go. If it's, you know, a bit pricier, I'd probably steer clear of it just because there are better beers out there, especially from national breweries, kind of in the same vein that I think are just better. So that was Grapefruit Slam IPA, 3.75 out of 5 from Stone. Appreciate you guys stopping by for another review. And until the next one, cheers.